Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Riding the Wave. I'm Mark Healey, the editor-in-chief of the Wave newspaper, Rockaway's newspaper since 1893. And joining me today is someone you know very well. His name is Manny Silva. He is the former chief of staff for Councilman Donovan Richards and now is running for his old boss's seat in the 31st District. The special election is February 23rd. Manny, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate all the work you guys do at The Wave, and I'm just happy to be here.
You know, it's funny, Manny, you're in a tough spot. And I say this because, you know, Donovan Richards, you know, for anyone who likes him or doesn't like him or whatever, certainly left a level of high expectation for whoever replaces him because the amount of work that Donovan did when he was the city council representative for the 31st District. But you, who used to work for the chief of staff, you know, you don't want to be constantly having to answer questions about Donovan when you're the one who's running. And, you know, so how do you kind of like you want to be known for your own accomplishments, you want to be known for the things that you've done, and yet you worked for, you know, for Donovan for, you know, a decent period of time. So how do you separate that, especially in a race where, to be honest, Donovan has endorsed one of your opponents? So how do you kind of deal with that, like rock and a hard place kind of situation?
That was a lot. Great way to start the interview. So yeah, Donovan and I are two different people. And I will say that for 3 years, a lot of that work that he got done, I helped. You know, I was a part of that. So that's not me trying to take credit. He's his own person. He is, I would say he did some amazing things for our community. And he got the ball rolling. But there is so much that we need to get done. And at the end of the day, both Donovan and I would have the same goal. We just have different ways of getting there. And yeah, I am putting my own stuff forward. Before I was the chief of staff for Donovan, I was the project manager of the Far Rockaway Arbor Nonprofit Coalition. I also sat on Community Board 14. I also started my own nonprofit out in where we did a lot of work in Rockaway to mentor young people and create volunteer opportunities for people. Before that, I was converting traditional businesses in Rockaway into worker-owned businesses. And before that, I was organizing young people throughout the city around participatory budgeting. And before that, I was the congressional affairs specialist for FEMA right after Sandy hit. So my background, not only is it not politics, it's not all just working in Donovan's office. I have relationships that I've made way before that, way beyond that, and I've done a lot of work in the Rockaways. So yes, Donovan, I think he got a lot done. And I think our community has been in a better place since his time in city council. But I have a whole lot I want to get done, and I have a way I'm going to do it that's much different than any other elected official has ever approached this. We're bringing transparency and honesty to politics. We are ready to do this with or without any other elected official. At the end of the day, my goal is to empower the people of our community, and I haven't seen anybody else do it. So we're going to do it, and we are going to not only get a seat at the table, we're going to give the community multiple seats at the table with us.
So, you know,
and one other thing I want to add,
go ahead.
Him endorsing somebody else. Politics is a funny game, very funny game. But I will say that your chief of staff should be somebody not only that you trust, but somebody who can run your operations while you're running for a separate seat. And that's exactly what I did. Ran the operations in 3 different offices and did it up until the day after he left. You know, I was still in the office. And if for some reason I don't win this, I'll still be helping. Now, would you have somebody that you didn't trust or believe in, or somebody who could do the job, doing the job? And if you don't think that they can do the job, why would you have them doing the job far beyond, you even being in the office? So I just, it's politics. Politics is politics. So I don't take.
I like what you said before, though. You called it politricks. I like that.
That's exactly what
I like that.
So we're going to change that.
Okay, so I wanted to get that out of the way because I know that a lot of people have, people always ask me, what I think, speculating on the race. And I said, look, I have a pretty good relationship with almost everybody that's running, and the people that are running that I don't have a prior relationship with, I have an open mind about. And, so for me, this is all about letting the people who are going to vote know more about you as a candidate. And I know that people have asked me that question. How does Manny deal with that? And so I figured, let me just ask you. I think you answered it pretty well. Here's the other thing. And I think it's important because I think that with Khalil Anderson, winning, being a young Black man, being the first in the assembly, a lot of people are energized about that. Obviously, this is a very important city council seat. You represent a lot of important people, and I say important, the people who need the help the most. So that responsibility, it comes with great expectations. As I said, initially, it comes with great expectations. So, if you had to pinpoint the most pressing things that you have to address let's be honest, the seat has been vacant now for a few months. So when you take over, if you win, when you take over, whoever wins is going to have to hit the ground running because there's very little time, and people are going to frown upon someone who wins the election, the special election, and then spends the next 4 or 5 months running for the primary. So you're going to have to hit the ground running. What are the things that you think need to be addressed immediately?
So I'll tell, in regards to that, I'm the only one who can hit the ground running. Literally, I know exactly what needs to be done because I was doing it. And I will say that there are a couple of things we're going to do. We already have a staff in mind. We're gonna hire the most diverse staff that District 31 has ever had. We're gonna make sure that we have languages represented and we have different cultures represented. We are going to also get started on constituent services immediately. I want to create a website for our community to access resources, to hold me accountable. We're gonna have a wall of accountability on that website with all of my promises. And we're going to have those resources I just mentioned. So if somebody wants to join community board, it's right there. Somebody wants to apply for discretionary funds, it's right there. But we're also going to have an area where people can put in constituent service complaints. Any kind of complaint you have with a city agency, we will get on it immediately. We're still in COVID. So we also need to make sure that we are, and we're still in the middle of a pandemic. So we have to be fighting for a vaccination site that is run by the city on the peninsula. Now, Beach Channel is getting one, but I want to see one of the testing sites converted into a vaccination site because they don't both get used. And I'm referring to Sorrentino Center and the one in the 40s. They don't both get used the way that they could as far as the testing goes. So I do think there's room to turn one of them into a vaccination site. I think the vaccines and really focusing on making sure that it's accessible and we have as many people getting it as possible is one of the top priorities. And then we have the other things I want to do, like start our co-governance board and start our mentorship program. So we're going to have a co-governance board on both sides of the district, a board that is going to have a real say in what we do. This board is going to help us decide which way we're going to vote in the city council on any rezonings. And it's also going to help us decide on where new groups or where money can go to as far as discretionary funds go for new groups in the district that are applying. And they'll help us decide. I want any kind of money that we give through the city council to be merit-based, not relationship-based. So I do want to have a committee from that board work with me to decide on the nonprofits that will be funded, so we can ensure that it's not just me and based off of how I feel about the people that work there, especially because a lot of the people that work in these groups are supporting other candidates. And then there's also that, so that's what our co-governance board is going to be doing, and that's what we're gonna get started on immediately. And yeah, I had one other thing in mind that is slipping my mind right now.
You can come back. You can come back if you think about it. You know, I do that too. I have terrible short-term memory.
But yeah, we got to just make sure the basics are set and that all of my promises that I've been making as far as people power goes, we're getting started on that. Oh, here's the other thing. Auburn East. Auburn East is going to come up for a vote in the city council in March. We've already started doing the work to build out a community negotiation plan. And my goal is to win, but even if I don't win, we've already empowered the community. We have over 40 people getting involved from all over to provide what they want to see come out of this plan. And we're going to push for a community benefits agreement. So we need to get that started immediately, as soon as we get in there, and ensure that the city is giving back to the community as much as they're taking from the community.
Okay, so you talked about Auburn East. Obviously, housing is a big deal. Affordable housing is a big deal. Making sure that downtown Far Rockaway and all the units that are being built, that those don't turn into homeless shelters. To make sure that the community is protected from the city using Rockaway and Far Rockaway. Let's be honest, as a dumping ground for there's enough people in Far Rockaway and in District 31 and Community Board 14 that need help and that need assistance. And to bring other people from all over the city and to put them in Far Rockaway, when Far Rockaway and the Peninsula have already done more than their fair share, to help the city deal with its incompetence. And look, I'm sorry that the city's incompetent, Manny. And I think that what I think that a lot of the people that I've heard from, one in particular, I'm not going to use his name, but one in particular said to me, that Manny has been doing the work. We know Manny and we trust Manny. And I'm not going to tell you who it was, but let's say I agree with all that, and I do know you. One of the things that comes up all the time, especially now, especially in this climate, is police reform. And how do you balance police reform and the obvious need for public safety? I mean, I see all the shooting incidents. I see all the stories. I see everything that's being written. I do my best in a responsible way as a journalist to make sure that that information gets out so people know what's going on. And I really try not to make a huge deal about it to make the neighborhood look bad. But by the same token, there are people that don't feel safe. And so if you run on a police reform platform, how do you balance those two things, public safety and police reform? How do you, Manny Silva, as a candidate and as a city councilman, how are you going to balance those two things?
So you just said a lot. Let's just, and I want to address a few of those things. The first is a lot of people use the term dumping ground. And I know where you're coming from. I know the intention, but I just wouldn't use that term. And the reason I wouldn't use that term is because putting people that have needs and issues there, I wouldn't compare them to garbage or to dumping. But I hear your concern, and I agree that every neighborhood within our city needs to be helping our neighbors. do better. We're dealing with the housing crisis. The Rockaways, we're doing our fair share. Now, we might disagree on whether the whole Rockaways is doing our fair share, but I will tell you that the district that I want to represent is definitely doing our fair share, and we're taking care of our neighbors. We're taking care of people that are in need. I will never demonize those who are in a situation where they have to not have a space of their own to live in. I believe that everybody deserves a space of their own to live in, and I don't think hotels are the answer. I don't even think homeless shelters are the answer, though I know that it's necessary. We do need some type of place for people to be able to stay temporarily, but we need to be able to move people out of homeless shelters just as quickly as we get people in. We have to provide vouchers. So I am in support of increasing vouchers. I am in support of making sure our public housing is in a comfortable, secure space. And right now, it is not. We do not have enough buy-in on our federal level to adequately fund the repairs needed for NYCHA. We do not have enough buy-in on even on the state level to ensure that our public housing is in a good state, that people that live there can live comfortably. But I do think public housing is key to making sure everybody has a space of their own. I also want to see more support for community land trusts. And I'm also one of the only candidates who's vocally made it very clear that they're not taking any money from real estate developers. And that doesn't mean real estate is evil, but it means that I would rather give the leverage that I have to the community members we have. I want to change the way politics is done, and it begins with the money you take. And it is also not to say that anybody who's taking the money is going to be influenced, because just because I take money from, let's say, my next door neighbor, doesn't mean that next door neighbor is going to tell me what to do. But I am giving that next door neighbor power, more power than I'm giving somebody who's not giving me any money. And when I say that, what I mean is when it comes to real estate, if you're taking money from them and you decide what is coming to the community, it can often look like you just, and perception is reality. So I don't even want that perception. I think it's a conflict of interest. So with that being said, I plan on making sure our community has the power in these negotiations. That if we're negotiating with developers that want to come into our community is sitting at the table with us. No more backroom deals. And just, if we're making a deal, the community is going to be in the room with us. So I do think that development, though, comes along with trying to address the housing crisis. I don't think it's the only answer. I think we need to really get to the core of the issue. Make sure people are making an adequate amount of money to be able to survive in our city, and our city is very expensive. So those are some of the things in my housing plan that will get us closer to a place where everybody in our city has a space of their own, a comfortable space to live in. Then there was the issue of police that you brought up, police reform. I think you made a great point. The city is terrible at managing, the city agencies are terrible at managing themselves. And the NYPD is not exempt. I've been working with our precincts out here in the Rockaways for the last 3 years. I've been working with precincts in the whole district for the last 3 years. I've made some incredible friends. There are some incredible officers, but that doesn't mean that the system they work in is ideal for everybody. I think we need to get to a place where we're not afraid of our neighbors, where we can go outside and we feel safe, but we should feel safe from our neighbors and the police at the same time. So I want to, when I get in office, I'm going to fight for an elected civilian complaint review board. Right now, the Civilian Complaint Review Board, which is the board that reviews police misconduct, is appointed by politicians. Politicians have egos, politicians have ulterior motives. Let's take that out of their hands and have the people that are going to be reviewing police misconduct be voted on by the people or be decided by the people. I also want to start an exploration committee to come up with a plan for a new public safety system, a comprehensive public safety system, a public safety system that takes into account armed officers as well as unarmed officers. And how can we build a system that's built on empathy? How can we build a system that's built on sociology? So when officers go into a situation, they're not just thinking this is a man who might be dangerous and who might put other people in harm or might put myself in harm, but they're thinking this is a man just lost his job that has grown up in an abusive household, and he may be reacting like this because of this. Maybe we can take him down without killing him through these methods. I also am supportive of social workers being involved in that process and counselors in schools rather than school safety. But one thing I want to make very clear is none of these solutions are black and white. There's a whole lot of gray, and too often we get caught up in, we got to either do it this way or that way. No, we have to take our time while rebuilding and building a better city, and we have to make sure we're doing it the right way. And we're doing it in a comprehensive way, where a lot of things are coming into play. I also believe that in order to reduce crime, we got to get to the core of the issue. And the core is not just people are bad. The core is people are going through things. People have mental health needs. So or people have job needs. People are being stressed. People are being put in situations where they feel like crime is the best way to get out of those situations. So we got to get them out of those situations. I support expanding Rock Safe Streets and expanding it throughout the entire peninsula and making sure that it's funded to do work throughout the entire peninsula. Rock Safe Streets reduced gun violence in their catchment area by like 400%. And that was after only like 3 years being in play. So I want to see it go. I want to see its catchment area be expanded throughout the entire peninsula. I want to see sites all over, and I want to see Rock Safe Streets receive that support. And let me just go through what Rock Safe Streets does, because they're a part of the crisis management system. The crisis management system looks at violence and gun violence specifically like it's a public health crisis. And when you look at it like that, you have to get testing and get the vaccination. You don't just do the testing. So what they do is they look at violence like that, and they provide mental health services. They provide jobs. They provide mediation services, and they provide people with an opportunity to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And when you attack violence and gun violence specifically from all of those angles, you're able to really get at the crux of the issue. And I want to see that expanded. But one last thing I want to say is one thing we need to expand beyond the crisis management system and Rock Safe Streets and police reform is making sure young people have access to a job at all year round, not just in the summer. A young person shouldn't have to wait till summer to hopefully get picked in the summer youth lottery. Any young person that wants to work should be able to work. I'd like us to get to, as a country, get to a place where anybody that wants to work, period, has access to a job. But we're not there yet. And all of my plans, I understand, I understand that all of my plans take steps. Nothing's going to happen overnight. But unless we're making those steps, we're never going to get closer to building a city where everybody is in a good place.
One complaint I've heard about, the both city council seats is that because they are split between the mainland and the peninsula, that there is a tendency for, there is that tendency to treat the two as separate entities rather than one district. How will you avoid getting compared, or at least getting pigeonholed into that comparison? How will you ensure that your constituents don't feel like they're being left behind.
So it's a very, I will tell you, it's a very difficult balancing act. And I will also let you, make it clear that they are two very different areas. Rockaway, the issues in Rockaway, in the Rockaways, we're not seeing those same issues in Rosedale, Springfield Gardens, and Laurelton. We see some of them. Some of like infrastructure is an issue that's an issue in the entire district. But there are some issues that come with living in between two bodies of water. And my job and what I plan on doing is to approach each neighborhood uniquely. I would say even in Rockaway, every neighborhood has its own issues, has its own unique culture. We all come together at some points, but we all have our own issues. Arvern's issues are not going to be the same as Arvern by the Sea. Arvern by the Sea, their lights were back up in a matter of hours after Sandy. Arvern by the Bay, not so much. It took weeks. So I think it would be the wrong approach to treat everybody exactly the same or treat every neighborhood exactly the same. We need to go a neighborhood by neighborhood approach. And there are some things, though, that I think we need to do everywhere. We need to empower people everywhere and build civics in any neighborhood that doesn't have a civic. We need to provide a website. We need to provide mentorship opportunities and co-governance. So if you want to say, I don't think anybody, I will tell you that nobody will feel left out because I will be on the ground the same way I've been on the ground for the last 10 years. And I think that's important. That's why you have some elected officials that didn't get that same, or still don't get that same criticism. I never hear anybody say that about Fefa Amato. So, she's on the ground and she makes sure she's everywhere. And I'm sure it's not easy for her. She has a whole family and it takes a lot out of somebody to be everywhere. But that is what I am committing to do, be everywhere.
So, you have a lot of aspirations. Obviously, you've talked about them. You've expressed your feeling on a number of different issues. So forget about being a candidate because, all the candidates are the same. They all want the same thing. So let's say you get what you want and you become the city councilman for the 31st district. What committees would you want to be on? Like, would you ask to be, placed in any particular? I don't know how it works exactly. I mean, do you let the speaker or?
Yeah, you can talk with the speaker. It all depends on
your apply for those seats, or is it like more word of mouth type of thing?
I don't think anybody that wins this election is going to get we'll see, but I don't think anybody's getting a.
Well, let's say in a perfect world, you get the choice to do that.
Yeah.
What kind of committees would you want to be on?
I want to be on a number of committees, but before I even get to a committee, I want to get on the budget negotiation team. Not every council member gets an opportunity to negotiate with the mayor. They all get an opportunity to submit their ideas. They all get a meeting with the mayor's right hand or whatnot. But the budget negotiation team in the city council is probably the most important group of council members when it comes to the budget. And I want to be involved in there because there are some things like some quality of life issues, some youth programming that I think should not be cut. And I think there are other places we can find money. And this is going to be one of those years where we got to find money. As far as committees go, after we make it successfully onto the budget negotiation team, I would like to be on the public housing committee. I would like to be on the economic development committee, and I would like to be on the public safety committee. And I would like to be on the zoning committee. And I think each one of those will help me push my agenda and my promises that I've made during this campaign forward.
Okay, I got one last question. And then I'll give you the opportunity to let people know how to, find your best places to donate and things like that. My last question is this. We're at a crossroads right now. not just with police reform, not just with rising violence, gun violence, not just with COVID, all this stuff. Everything right now, you could term it as economic ruin. Right now we are dealing with the after effects and all the things that we talked about. Employment for the youth and violence and all these things. You're right. All these things are connected. They are connected and they have to be solved. So how will you, as a city council member, work with the business community to try to create opportunity, not just for the people that need to be, because if the businesses aren't running, if the businesses aren't making money, they're not, and the minimum wage gets raised again, they're dealing with, basically have made no money for more than a year. So how will you, Manny, how will you help these businesses rise so that they can thrive and then employ people and then, create that opportunity that you're talking about?
So one thing I truly believe, and I believe in, is if government is going to force an industry to shut down, then government needs to provide that industry with the resources it needs to survive. And we did not see that. Instead, government came with a limited amount of loans that our businesses still are not in a position to start paying back because they're still not making money. And a few very small number of grants. And these grants can last, what, a month, 2 months? We need to do better. And I'm not going in this to make friends. I got friends, and we've already seen how the elected officials have treated me throughout this process. They don't look at me as a friend. So we're not here to make friends. We're here to make impact. And I am going to push all of the elected officials to ensure that when you shut down our government, when you shut down our businesses, you also help our businesses. When you don't allow our businesses to make money, then you have to find a way to get them that money. And I think it's our responsibility. When it comes to workers, our elected officials are more willing to help out. But even there, they didn't, we as a state and we as a city did not do enough. And there is so much more relief that our businesses and our people need. And I'm ready to fight for them. I'm ready to make noise. I'm ready to call anybody out. I'm not afraid of any of these elected officials. I'm not afraid. And when I say these elected officials, I don't just mean locally. I mean, even the governor. We have to build a system that is accountable to our voters, that is accountable to everybody that lives within our district or works within our district. And I don't think we have that accountability. So in order to get that, we need to build power. And that's what I'm doing right now. And that's what I plan on doing as we get in, if we win this election. But I have a bunch of ideas, and I could go through my small business plan, but I have a lot of ideas of the resources that are already available through SBS that we need to bring in. We don't have any business improvement districts out here. We should, as far as commercial development, yes, Peninsula Project is coming, but we should have more of a say in what that commercial is going to look like, that commercial space. And we have to make sure that there is affordable space for local businesses to be there. Even the development that's being built on Mott Avenue, no one knows what's going on with the commercial activity over there. How, are they going to provide space for some of the businesses that already exist? Is that space going to be affordable? When I get in office, we're going to have those conversations, and we're going to make sure we push for some affordable business space, commercial space. And we're going to push for a business incubation center in both the Peninsula project and within the Auburn East project. But the Auburn East project, we have to leverage all our power to get everything that the community needs, because that's city-owned land. you're taking land from us. So what are you giving back to us? And I don't just mean the developers. What is the city doing for us? They have not committed to do anything as of yet. And we have infrastructure needs that we need. Right there on 32nd Street, anytime it rains, it floods. It's a huge, it's a problem. People can't leave their home without walking through swampy water. No one should have to live like that. We are going to make sure that if we approve this project, the city agrees to fix that. As far as our traffic goes, our lanes can be expanded. They still have not agreed to do that. What they told the community board is that they agreed to study it and come up with a design. They're going to put $1 million into a design when you could be putting money into expanding it and creating some type of infrastructure there, especially for the front of Arvin View, where it also floods and it's a problem. We can create parking over there. We can create a better quality of life for people.
So how do people find out more about Manny Silva's campaign and how can they donate?
You can visit my website at www.mannysilvanyc.com. You can shoot me an email at silva4nyc@gmail.com. Again, that's silva4nyc@gmail.com. You could shoot me a text or give me a call at 646-267-4100. I haven't changed it since I would say for 15 years. And you can also visit me on social media. I am probably, and I've always tried to be, the most accessible person involved in politics in Rockaway. So please reach out, give me a call, give me a text, add me on social media. You have any questions, ask. The election really starts tomorrow, Saturday, February 13th. It is so important that not only you get involved in the election, but that you know who and why you're supporting who you're supporting.
Early voting does begin tomorrow, as Manny said, and the special election will take place on February 23rd. Manny, best of luck, and we'll be seeing you down the road. And stay safe. Best to your family, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, and no matter what, you'll definitely see me, no matter what the results
Oh,
are.
I know.
Was born
I know I
in
will.
John,
I know I will.
and I still live
All right,
in
man.
Auburn.
All right, take care,
All right,
man.
thank you. Have a good one.
You too. And that
Thank
was
you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And that was Riding the Wave for this week. Actually, we're doing all these interviews, so we'll be popping back up with some more all the way between now and Election Day. Have a great Friday, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you down the road here on Riding the Wave.